You don't have any right to be sad. Like, fucking, like...
Because $100 million means nothing.
I just said, this is not my vision.
Hey, bro, like, you made me realize that
Which is good.
Okay, we ready to rock and roll?
I am ready to rock the fucking house down.
okay. Ride the tiger. You can see his stripes, but you know he's clean. Speaking of which,
High five. High five.
High five.
nice work. That was
Air five.
Always look at the elbow.
the time is 10:29. Hello, how are you wherever you are? This is the Brotherly Love Podcast. You're back with season 2. We're with Adam Green today.
Adam Green today.
And
My name is Adam Green today.
today he is Adam Green today. And would you like to introduce our guest? I know you've had a great relationship with this man, much as myself, but you've worked very closely with this man.
In a completely friendly, platonic way. One of my great friends, a very smart mastermind of business, a very strong, athletic man for his good age, a very kind, caring friend. Martin will introduce more of what he does throughout the podcast, but this is Martin Davidson.
Martin Davidson, welcome to the hot seat.
Good morning, gentlemen. Thanks for having me on the podcast. I'm very much looking forward to our conversation today.
Thanks for receiving that impromptu, unwritten introduction. Let's flesh it out, though. Who are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
My God, that's quite a philosophical question, isn't it?
That's great.
Who am I? So, well, my parents named me Martin.
Nice.
Martin Davidson, son of David. My middle name is David as well, so my name is Martin David Davidson.
Why did they do that to you?
I don't know why they did that to me. My grandfather's name was David. My father's name was David. I have Davidson.
David Davidson.
So it's all about the sons of David.
Are you related to Harley Davidson anyway?
Not related to Harley Davidson.
Okay.
No.
Two different families, I believe. Anyway,
Roger. Okay.
So who am I? Well, currently my status, I'm 46 years old.
Yeah, young. 46 years young.
Born in 1976. The Chinese astrology, I am a dragon.
Yeah,
I like to think of fire dragon. I have a lot of energy for life. I love life. I have a lot of passion. I love being fit and healthy and pushing my physical boundaries, and like to try and think outside the box with regards to my life and my career and the jobs that I do. So I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've had a few different businesses. And I enjoy investing in tech companies, I love life really, and just living each day to the fullest as much as I can. I enjoy travel. I've travelled a lot. Enjoy meditation. Enjoy exploring different states of consciousness, and I could go on.
Well, let's find a path and we'll dig deeper. You're
Sure.
a serial entrepreneur. How did that start?
Okay. So I always envisaged that one day I'd have my own business, and I've worked in lots of different jobs and careers, and I just had an inner belief that one day I would find a product or a service or a subject, something that I'm passionate about and interested in, and I would want to create a business from that. And I was living in Thailand, working as an English teacher, doing corporate English teaching and a few different jobs, and but I wasn't earning much money, and I was 35. I was 35, and I thought, well, might be time for me to go back to Australia and really try and create some wealth for myself in my life. You know, I'm 35 years old. I've travelled a lot, done lots of different jobs, lived in different countries, but haven't got any sort of assets behind me or any wealth behind me. So
can you just rattle off a few lists of jobs that you've done? Like you said, teacher.
Sure.
Then, rattle off. I'd be intrigued to know. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. So I, as soon as I had my national insurance card, which is in England, you get it when you're 16. That means you can actually get a job. So as soon as I was able to work, I started working doing a paper round.
Does that mean like you quit school or something?
No. What you can work while outside of school. You have a national insurance. It basically means you can start paying tax. You get a national insurance
How
card.
awesome.
Paying tax.
You look forward to that, don't you? Each and every day we're like,
16 years old, please
can't
start
wait.
paying the government.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to paying my taxes.
Yeah, so I saw it as an opportunity to start earning my own money, so I could save up and buy a car and be independent, and because I was in a hurry to become an adult, and so I worked at Tesco's, which is a supermarket and chain in the UK, on the delicatessen counter. So I did that for a little while. I worked at a Vodafone centre. I was an assistant manager of a Vodafone centre selling mobile phones. I worked for a cargo company loading aeroplanes with this large equipment that goes up to the side of these cargo planes.
Was that like physical labour or you inside the machine?
Yeah,
Right,
it was both. Yeah, using these different machines like high loader machines and driving around these Mulag tractors with dollies on the back and moving luggage around. So I enjoyed the physicality of that role, and doing night shift and earning overtime, and it was good camaraderie among the guys there. It was good fun, but wasn't really my place. It was quite it wasn't really the place for me long term, but it was good for a while. I worked as a real estate agent for a couple of years. I worked for a Windows company doing manufacturing and installations, and then I became the area sales manager of a Windows company, which I really enjoyed doing, because having understood the manufacturing process and the delivery and the installation, it put me in a good position to be able to explain to the customers everything that's involved with the product and how it's put together in the factory and why they should might be a good value proposition for them. So it was good to be able to understand that whole end-to-end supply chain of the Windows industry. And then when I came to Australia, I started working for a telco and doing phone sales, which I'd never done before, which at first I thought, oh my God, am I really doing this, sort of phoning people up and trying to...
Like cold calling?
Cold calling, yeah.
Wow, yeah.
So it was on behalf of Telstra, which is, as we know who Telstra is. And so the conversation would go like, I understand you used to be with Telstra, but you're now with another provider. Maybe we can give you a better price for your services. And having an English accent, that tended to go down quite well with the
very polite, well-mannered man
with the people I was calling. So that was great fun. I was a backpacker, and it was commission only, and but it was really good money for when I came to Australia working as a backpacker.
How old were you at that point?
So I came to Australia in 2005. So that's 12 years ago. Yeah, 12 years ago. Yeah.
35. Yeah.
Yeah, I was 35, yeah. And
so that's right up until the point when you wanted to create a business for yourself, where you were just leading into,
I was 30, sorry.
Right,
I was 30 when I came to, so it's 2005, I came to Australia, and I was 30 years old, because when you're up to the age of 30, you can get a working holiday visa, if you're coming from the UK. So the company I worked for, I really enjoyed the role, and they sponsored me, so I ended up staying in Australia, and they then promoted me, and I ended up becoming a national sales manager, looking after a few different sales teams all around Australia, which was really great. But I kind of became disillusioned with that role as I started to go up higher into the ranks of the corporate structure there.
Disillusioned as in you were no longer feeling like it was your calling?
Yeah, it was no longer big. It wasn't. I wasn't growing. I wasn't growing. It plateaued.
Yep.
And sure, I was enjoying wonderful dinners with the management team and drinking fine wine and traveling around and working quite flexible hours, but the role wasn't challenging me anymore. So that's when I went to Asia with some friends on holiday, and I'd never been there before. I loved it so much, and I thought, well, I'd like to actually... I kept meeting people as I was travelling around Asia. I was saying, how you doing? What you up to? Oh, you live here? What do you do? I'm an English teacher. Oh, interesting. And I've always enjoyed English language, and I was quite good at it at school. So, when I came back from that holiday in Vietnam and Thailand, I called my boss and said, listen, I'm gonna leave and gonna go and travel Asia and I'm going to become an English teacher.
Wow.
So he thought I was a bit crazy.
Yeah.
Because I'd spent 5 years sort of building up myself into a really good position with the company, and he
Yeah.
offered to keep the position open for me for a few months if it's something I just wanted to get out of my system.
Yeah,
and
that's
I said,
nice.
well,
That's a good job.
Yeah, it was good of him. Yeah, but I said no, there's no need to do that because I don't want to be tied to the amount of time that I'm going away
Yeah,
for. So,
nice.
so yeah, off I went and got a Cambridge English Language Teaching for Adults course, which is created by Cambridge University. So it's like a TEFL course, but it's a 4-week intensive training course.
Yep.
And then at the end of that you can teach English as a foreign language to adults.
Yep.
So that's what I did. So 2 years I spent traveling all around Asia, and I went off and stayed 5 weeks in a Tibetan monastery in Tibet, and traveled through China and Nepal, and
Is this where you fell in love with gongs as well?
yeah, that's right. Yeah, sound healing.
Yeah.
I became interested in. Well, I had been interested in meditate. Once I started to become disillusioned with my sales manager role, and I started to read books about meditation and Buddhism, and I just became disillusioned with that daily grind of doing something where you're just not really feeling passionate.
Yeah.
So the Tibetan Buddhist monastery I stayed in, it was in Nepal, not in Tibet, but I travelled through Tibet, and so I stayed there for 5 weeks, and that was wonderful, learning about meditation and doing the prayers, and it was to be able to. It was in the foothills of the Kathmandu Valley, and you could see the Himalayas in the background, and we'd get up at like 5 a.m. and be beautiful vanilla sky, yellowy clouds in the sky. It was just so atmospheric. It's a really
Beautiful.
amazing part of the world. I really recommend anyone that's interested in meditation or just experiencing an amazing place. Nepal and Tibet, the Himalayas is just something really special. And then I went to Thailand and taught English for 8 months. And then so after that, I came back to back to Australia, and I went back to the company that I was working for actually before, on a much lower position, on a starting position, because I was unsure what I wanted to do. And anyway,
It must have been a humbling experience.
It was a humbling experience, but I created an opportunity to become a training manager quite quickly. So I became the training manager, and it was so again I was in quite a good position, but I was finding that it was definitely not where I wanted to be.
And that was where the lesson was in that, and returning is like, oh no,
That's right.
Confirming this really
Confirmation,
isn't where I should be.
100%. So then I thought, well, maybe I can start to figure out what this money situation is about. How to create wealth. I'm 35. How do I create wealth? Because it's not going to be on a 9 to 5 salary, regardless of how much money you make. To create a lot of wealth, investing is the way to go, or to have your own business, which you can obviously scale and create more income from. Opportunities that way. So I started to look into the stock market. So blue chip stocks like Telstra, Fortescue Metals Group, big mining companies, banks, and started to do some courses about how to look at charts and fundamental analysis, looking at the books of a company, its profit, its earnings, and its future potential, the people on the board, the direction of the company.
Up until this point, you hadn't had much economic, you hadn't had a background in working with a lot of economical sort of stuff, hey?
No, not at all, really. No, not other than just working in sales and working for companies.
Sales. Yeah.
But not in regards to working with money.
Yeah.
No, not in. I never worked in it.
Money,
No, but I did do a diploma in financial planning.
There you go.
So RG 146.
During Tesco or when?
No, that was after I came back from travelling in Thailand, and when I went back to the So then I
just sneak that in there.
Yeah. So diploma in financial planning.
Man of many mysteries.
So I thought, well, yeah, if I want to try and understand the money markets and how to invest, then if I become a financial planner, that would give me a really good insight into the different types of investment. And I thought maybe I could work for a financial planning company, or a bank, or someone that, as a retail investor, you'd go and speak to someone, and they would help you develop a portfolio and invest in the types of things that might be depending on what your risk profile is. Your age, the types of industry you want to invest in, the type of return that you want to get back from your income, from your investments. So I started investing in the blue chip stocks, and I noticed that they would only fluctuate a very small amount, maybe 0.5% a day, or not even that. And I thought, well, if I'm wanting to create wealth quickly, this isn't really going to be for me. So then I started looking at the small cap stocks, or penny stocks, which is like the mining exploration companies, or the very small cap stocks. They've got a small market capitalization. They're small companies, but the opportunity for their share price is to
massive.
is to go up or down more so. So that became interesting to me. And I had a little bit of success there, and I was just using my income to just play with the markets a little bit. And then I started looking at Forex and did a course on Forex trading, which is where you look at the different currencies and you can apply different technical analysis. A technical analysis is you have different indicators where you will sort of look at the trends of how the price action is going and look for different patterns and formulas. It's a whole thing. And as I was putting it out to the universe that I'm investing in different types of things, I had a friend there at the company, and he told me about Litecoin, which was a cryptocurrency, and it used to be the second biggest cryptocurrency by market capitalization. I thought, and him and his girlfriend had made $50,000. She was Chinese. A lot of the Chinese people have been investing in cryptocurrency for quite some time. They were more aware of it. So I thought, oh, that sounds interesting. You've made $50,000 in a relatively short time. And there began my journey into learning about cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, Bitcoin, the different alternative coins. And so initially it was from a investment perspective that I was interested in these cryptocurrencies. But then I started to learn about the underlying technology behind them, and it really spoke to me from my own sort of values. So I saw it not only as a potential opportunity to create wealth or to make money from the investment, but also as a social innovations perspective. So something that could be really good for the world, something that would be freedom enabling, something that would be a technology that could be the antithesis or an alternative to the hegemony of the global financial powers, the banks, the governments, the central banks. Money is a tool used by the people in power to control people. It's really a tool that they use, and through taxation, the amount of money that people can earn, it's quite often it's capped at how much money you can make. So it's sort of controlled. The monetary system is controlled in that way, and they do it in various methods, from inflation and taxation. And a dollar today will not be worth the same in 5 years' time. You won't be able to purchase as much with that dollar today, because the value of it keeps going down because the government keeps printing more and more money. And that's called inflation. So, and unless your wages are rising with the cost of goods and services, which we all know that they're not, then people are just going to continue to get poorer and poorer and poorer. And you're going to have this massive wealth divide of people that are, just getting by, and then the ultra wealthy flying around on their private jets. And we are sort of starting to see this more and more as time goes on. So whereas cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, Bitcoin, is a potentially an alternative to that to the existing system.
a lot there that I want to just touch on so many different things.
Same.
Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You go. I've got it.
Backing it way up to in regards to you working this job in sales around the 35 age mark, or just before you decided to go away and become a teacher, you were working and you got really high in the job and you're doing well. You had a established position. I think it's such a good thing to be able to say, no, this isn't right for me, and step away from that, because so many people have that fear, like, you know,
I'm losing money.
I've invested all this time in this position. I've got this far.
sacrificing this money and then I'm going to go backwards.
Like I'm committed to this role. Like, I've done so much to get this far. Like, even if it's not serving their purpose, not making them happy, they feel like they owe this job something, that they're like, oh, they've made such a big commitment, they have to stay. Like,
But it's also that tie to feeling successful through the amount of money they earn, right? Which keeps them further enslaved in the system.
And you said as well, like, going for nice dinners and enjoying the perks of being that high position. So many people that I've seen will get to that, even if it's not serving them, and they'll just stick it out for the rest of their life because, like, oh, I've earned this position, this is my position, but you're not actually happy. So I wanted to just kind of ask, like, what went through your mind? Like, was it no questions asked, like, oh, this isn't right, I'm going to leave? Or was it a debate? Oh, I've got this job, I've got this title now, I've worked hard to get here. Was there a debate in your head whether you wanted to leave and go travel and teach, or was it just such an easy thing for you to be like, oh no, this isn't right for me, I'm leaving?
So,
Good question.
yeah, thanks for the question, Adam. I don't know where it came from, but, I think my mum has a lot to do with my inner belief, just to do things that feel right and to follow my intuition.
Yeah.
And she's always supported me in all of the decisions that I've made in my life, and where I've kind of, gone down the wrong path. Then she's always had faith and supported me, and she's always, instilled in me a belief that I can do anything, and that being happy in myself is the most important thing. And I remember her saying to me when I was very young, I mean, it's probably a bit cliche, but she said, if you want to become a cleaner or do any job at all, whatever it might be, however it's deemed upon by society as being, not something, or no expectations. As long as you're happy, then I'll be happy for you to do that. So straight away, that kind of released any. I think that gave me the free reins or just let the reins off for me to know that I can always do anything. And in the past, when I've gone from different job to job, I've never had a job to go to. I've always had faith that, which is maybe not so pragmatic or sensible, because you can end up sort of being out of work for a period of time and not having any money, and things get desperate. But that's never really happened for me. I've always I've always had a will to work and want to do things and earn my own money and be independent. And I've always opportunities have come up in line with what I'm wanting to do. So I didn't really have having had success in careers in the past, that instilled in me a sense that I would always be able to find something new. Even if it was something that I'm not passionate about, I know I've got the fortitude and the aptitude to do something and be independent, whatever that might be. And I'm open to doing anything if I had to, really, to earn money. So I just felt an inner belief to do that.
And trust,
And
confidence, the belief that the manifesting, leaving a job with no other job lined up, knowing full well of your competency and your confidence, your belief that it'll just work out. So that's cool as.
Well, I think another question I ask myself is, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah, exactly.
But then what's the most that could happen?
Yeah, what's the
the most that could happen? Let that fuel your decision. Hey, it's like, oh my God, that could get on a tangent of this, and
well,
this.
the wonderful thing is we don't know.
Yeah.
That's the driving force. Is I don't want to know what the next few years look like for me, because I want to go with the flow of what's really
adventure.
Driving me. The adventure and what I find joyful, and that's going to change as time goes on. So I was just really keen to travel and really keen to explore different places and to do something different. And
I've got a few questions, if I may. So the business that you launched alongside your partner, what was your partner?
No, so initially, I had the I thought the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. I thought this is interesting. I'm going to leave my job. I'm going to set up a business in cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
So I did that. And
what were the values of that business as well? Because you mentioned them some in the social. I remember I've read your business plan, and I think you had 43 mil or something like that. That's what I read somewhere.
Yeah. So
and
that was collectively for the businesses.
Yep.
Well, so the initial business I had was called CoinStation, which was the quickest, easiest, and most secure way to buy bitcoins. That was the pitch of the business, and it was a little ATM machine. And I branded it, created a website which I'd never done before, and my uncle in the States, he helped me do that because he's a web developer. And
shout out
shout out to Uncle Steve. Thanks
Uncle
very
Steve,
much,
Uncle Steve Davidson. Dave Davidson.
Is it Steve Davidson?
It's not Steve Davidson.
side of the
No,
family.
Steve Mosley.
Nice
Steve
one,
Mosley.
Mr. Mosley.
Thank you, Mr. Mosley.
Was it Mosley his work or more your work? I'm just kidding. With that
Combined effort.
Yeah.
I did the copyright. And,
Nice.
ATM.
So during that time, I was reading startup magazines and sort of becoming interested in co-working spaces, places where there's innovation happening. People are coming together and sharing ideas. And I found an article about these guys that had set up an office space in South Bank in Melbourne, and they were inviting people that had business ideas to come and use their space. Yeah. So I went along there, and I pitched up set up a desk there, and I thought, well, what would be good to help my business of people using my Bitcoin ATM machine, which is basically you put cash in the machine and it gives you Bitcoins to your mobile phone, which is so then you actually using the Bitcoin network, because it's
what a brilliant invention.
Well, the ATM machine was made by somebody else. It was an open source system, but I imported it and branded it, and
good on you.
And I thought, well, what would help for the centre and for the growth of this industry and for people's education in general would be to start running some Bitcoin 101 workshops. So I did an online course from the University of Nicosia. So it's an online course all about Bitcoin, blockchain technology, the history of money, how does the blockchain work, and Bitcoin, the game theory, a little bit about the cryptography behind it, the token economics behind Bitcoin. So quite a deep dive into the tech, but also around the social innovations perspective of it as well. And it was a really good course to do. It was like each module had a decent sized workbook, and there'd be multiple choice questions, and there'd also be some written work that you'd have to submit as well. So it was really comprehensive.
And so you made this course?
No, I found it online. Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
How's this for like you starting a business, and it's like you've imported this machine, you've branded it yourself, then you've got all this stuff online, and I can imagine you were making a substantial income from this on
Nothing.
people. Nothing?
No, I wasn't making anything at all.
How brilliant's that?
No, I wasn't making
Doing it purely out of love.
I was just doing it on my savings and a belief that, this is going to...
Belief, there it is again.
Fucking oath.
Yeah.
The trust.
And so it was a terrible first business with regards to making money.
Yeah.
But what it did afford me is actually I'm an entrepreneur.
Yes.
And I'm working in the Bitcoin industry.
Yeah.
And this is my business.
Yeah.
And then I would then be able to meet other business owners, and it would give me a platform from where to speak from.
And also how great that, like you said about like you're in this industry, but what you are is like you're within this social networking space, but you're helping leverage an economy of within that space, and people are going, oh, how brilliant is this that I can come in here, do my work, and I'm learning about how I can grow. And alongside your intention was, how do I create wealth for myself? You're actually helping leverage others to create wealth for themselves as well, which is just fucking beautiful.
Yeah, for sure.
And doing it purely out of love.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that's where most amazing businesses and services, that's where they come from. Because it was initially, the interest was about the investment opportunity. But then once I discovered the social innovations aspect of it and how freedom enabling it would be, and then understanding how the technology works, being able to share that with people,
Yes.
and then that would help them potentially sort of find independence too, like
Yes.
I'm finding. And
Yes.
so it started off becoming, it was the investment opportunity, but it soon became actually I'm a conduit to share something that I'm really joyful about, but could actually help the world.
And this aligns so much with us and what we're doing about
Yeah.
like the collaboration over competition, because
Yeah.
I can imagine Bitcoin, you hear a lot of people speaking about their personal success through Bitcoin and stuff like this, yet are unwilling to share like the tricks
Scarcity
or whatever.
mindset, trying to keep it all for themselves.
Yeah, and if I can sort of change the course on this a little bit, because I'm now living with Joe Turner, who's you've spoken on Bitcoin before, but what he's now, in my full transparency, I don't have a Bitcoin wallet. I haven't invested in cryptocurrency. I did look into the Forex exchange, and I started doing a little course on that, but then it got too overwhelming trying to do brotherhood at the same time, and I had to that was a lesson in itself. I have to just solely concentrate and shift my focus to one thing right now, and the rest I'll figure out later on, but I can't overwhelm my mind right now and stay focused on one. Now, okay, how imperative is it in this modern day for someone to own a Bitcoin wallet?
Well, I personally think everyone should really have a little bit of Bitcoin, because it's basically an investment it's a speculation or a hedge on the future, really.
Yes.
And it's so easy to do. It really is simple to do. But because the technology to really understand it deeply, it does take time and investment to really learn about it. And
When you say time to learn about it, like, can you give us a quantitative sort of amount that may time that investment? I mean, it's up to everyone on their how much they can ingest, but
absolutely, yeah, for sure. So this is what I haven't spoken about it in depth for much recently, but I did do the workshops for many years. So the process is really quite simple. It's to create an account with a reputable Bitcoin exchange. This is the simplest way of doing it. This isn't the purest way of doing it. The purest way of doing it, to do it anonymously, because the idea of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is it's private money. So it's kind of like digital gold, whereas like with gold, you actually hold it yourself, physically hold it, and you put it in a safe. It's yours. The state, the government can't confiscate it because it's not in one of their banks. It's not in Westpac or ANZ. It's unconfiscatable.
Yeah.
So cryptocurrency is similar to that. You know, if you could buy some from me now, you give me some cash, I'll give you some Bitcoin. No one knows that transaction's happened other than you and I.
Correct.
And then you can store that. So that's the purest way of doing it. But the easiest way of doing it is to create an account with an exchange. There's a couple of ones that have been around for a long time in Australia, BTC Markets and Independent Reserve. They're both good exchanges that have been around for a while. I use those exchanges. And you just create an account, you upload your ID, and you basically transfer any amount of money that you want to invest. You buy the cryptocurrency on the exchange. And then the safest way of actually holding the Bitcoins, which now comes back to your own self-responsibility, is you buy a hardware wallet, like a Trezor or a Ledger. So they're these little hardware devices. They look like USB keys.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're only $70, $100. You store the Bitcoins on this device.
Wow.
So after
it's
you,
literally like a wallet. Yeah.
it's a little wallet, yeah.
Digital
and then,
wallet.
yeah, and you make sure that you kind of follow the instructions, but you don't leave the cryptocurrency on the exchange. As much of those exchanges I mentioned have been around for a long time, and I know the guys that run it, and it's all very well and good. Your money's not insured, your cryptocurrency or your money's not insured on those exchanges. And if they were to get hacked or something that went wrong with their business, you could potentially lose all your money. And there was recently, a couple of months ago, there was a big, big company in the States there. And this guy lost billions and billions of
Oh
dollars
my
of people's
gosh.
money. Yeah. Because people were just leaving their cryptocurrency or their money on these platforms. But the whole point of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin blockchain technology is it's supposed to be a trustless system. So I don't have to trust you looking after my Bitcoins because I'm going to look after them myself. And I'm going to understand enough about how the system works.
So whereas we're offloading, well, when I say we're, I mean the current people that
Current
do not use,
system.
the current system is we entrust within the banks to hold our. That's why it's a decentralized platform, right? Because it's a centralized platform would be you're offloading your money, your wealth, and leaving it in the hands and a trust to someone else to look after that money for you, and it's all figurative.
And surely they don't have your best intentions at heart.
Well, I mean,
banks.
yeah, we just the system works, right? I mean, we know it's full of holes, but it works to a point. But for instance, in Cyprus in 2013, they had the government took money out of people's bank accounts in 2013, and that's where we saw a spike in the price of Bitcoin back then. And then Bitcoin became a little bit more well known because of the publicity around it. It was like, hang on a second, if the government can take money out of our banks whenever they want, how are we going to secure our own wealth? Yeah, so that's where Bitcoin is an alternative, way of holding on to your wealth, like gold or silver.
Are there transaction fees for utilizing the platform?
Yeah, there are transaction fees, and it varies depending on how busy the network is. So it's based on the busyness of the network. So there's some technicalities around the network where at the moment Bitcoin, as an example, cannot be used like PayPal or Visa or MasterCard because it doesn't have the transactional throughput because of the size of these blocks that go into the blockchain. There's a restriction on the amount of data that can go into those blocks, and a transaction is an amount of data. But I mean, right now the fees are just a few cents. So I thought what might be fun, because it's similar to the Matrix. Sorry, like no one can really explain what the Matrix is. You have to
Dive in.
have to dive in and experience it for yourself. So
Let's do it. So we're going to do a live something. I've got no. I don't know what you're going to do with this, Martin. But you said,
Let's hope this
make sure
works.
you've got the
Nice and easy.
application.
So this app that I use is called Exodus. So EXODUS.
So go to the App Store if you're channeling
App
with us
Store.
live.
I'm on.
Store. It's a free app.
EXODUS. Exodus crypto wallet.
There you go. Exodus.
Is it
Crypto
Exodus
Wallet.
crypto Bitcoin? Is it that one there with the little? That must be
It's
it.
got like a hexagon sort of.
Yep.
Exodus
2,
crypto
3,
wallet.
4, 5, 6. Yeah, correct. Hexagon. Nice one.
There you go.
Downloading.
So you just
It's got
and then
1.3K rating.
basically what we're doing now is we're setting up like a Bitcoin account, a Bitcoin wallet, and one of the things I really love about Bitcoin is it's open to everybody. You don't need a address, 100 points of ID. You don't need a credit rating. Anyone can create a Bitcoin. If you have access to the internet, you can create a Bitcoin wallet for free. And then what that will allow you to do is send and receive Bitcoins to anybody in the world at any time. So the Bitcoin network is the only network in the world that has not had any downtime. There's no downtime because the way the system functions, it's very basic, but it's really quite amazing because it just keeps going. So
And what it like in terms of like exchange, like when we have foreign exchange, it's like, no, this is just one platform. You can go from this country across to this country and it doesn't convert. It's just one mainstream.
that's right. One Bitcoin is always
Yeah.
worth one Bitcoin. I mean, what we do, if you're wanting to use it to buy products and services in the country, what you can do is exchange it for the local currency.
Yeah, and isn't that
and obviously that will fluctuate.
Yep.
The price of Bitcoin fluctuates just like the dollar or any other commodity will fluctuate in value. But since 2009, when it was released, till now, although the price does fluctuate up and down, it goes on these bull runs and
Massive.
then goes down. Over time, it's
Gradually
going up.
increasing.
It's gradually increasing over time. Yeah, so that's the.
And would that be in correlation to the amount of users that would be on the platform?
Just the people investing in it. Really,
Right.
it's just like how many people are buying and selling. If there's more buyers,
Yeah.
then the price goes up.
Yeah.
Is there
And that's
an
basically
amount of Bitcoin that will never change?
Yeah, so it's there's 21 million Bitcoins, and I think we're up to about 19 million of them. So every 10 minutes,
There's one being mined.
they're being mined into a block. New Bitcoins are being created, and all the transactions that are in the last 10 minutes are being then confirmed by the network. And these, so that's the process is called mining. Is these
hackers,
these machines that are, most of them, they're basically where the energy is most reasonable. They're securing the network. I mean, it's to keep it surface level, because I don't know how much you want to go into it, but
Dude,
mining itself is a whole industry. So there's factories around the world that are just full up with thousands of these machines that have got ASIC chips in them. ASIC means application specific integrated circuit. What that means is it's a chip that does one specific thing, and that one specific thing that it's doing is an algorithm called SHA-256, which is Secure Hash Algorithm 256, which is a cryptographic hash algorithm created by the CIA. So some people believe that the Bitcoin network might be a Trojan horse, pitching itself as an alternative to the existing financial system, but in actual fact, it could be the
American
it could
CIA?
be something else for the future.
A slight scam or a conspiracy. Fucking hell.
Anyway, let's just get us some crypto in our wallet.
If you
I'm
were
still confused about the little crypto wallet that you hold. How do I have a piece of technology that has my crypto on it?
Well, initially, when I first started getting into Bitcoin, I would print out. You can download this piece of software called Bitcoin Paper Wallet, and you print out these keys. They're called key pairs. You have a public address and a private key. In order to send and receive Bitcoins, you need the private key, but you can show anyone the public address. They're QR codes represented by this alphanumeric string. But what we could do here, just very quickly, is, have you downloaded your wallet, your Exodus wallet?
Got it.
11.
And did it ask you
11.
to sort of record your, save your passphrase?
Not yet. It just says create new wallet.
So create a new wallet.
This is live.
This is all happening.
It's happening at 11:11 our time.
All right. Now what do we need to do?
So you create a wallet and then create a Bitcoin wallet. Yep, great. And now you can click on, what's it asking
Saying
you to do?
blur, Ajax, and more. I'm just going to clean your glasses and take a close look. You can now send, receive, and swap blur and Ajax on ETH. And okay, I'll exit that.
So you've got the Bitcoin there. So you can then do receive. Can we do
Oh,
receive?
mine's come up with blue now too.
Yeah, press X in there. Just exit that.
Yeah, you see that?
All right. What's the receive button?
So if you click on Bitcoin,
Yep.
because we're going to trial the Bitcoin network, so
Yep.
there'll be an arrow going
Up or
down.
down.
So let's do down.
Down.
So there you go. That's your Bitcoin address. So right now, what it's done is it's created a key pair for you.
Yep.
A
QR code.
A QR code. And in the back end, there'll be a private key being able, so you can send
Your
and receive.
BTC address.
So that's your BTC address. So what we're going to do is I'll bring up my Bitcoin wallet, and then I'm going to send, and then I'm going to send Bitcoin here. So we just bring this up.
And Martin asks people out. So we've got the community WhatsApp group that we have is awesome for starters. But Martin offered for people to do work on his farm. Now he has a farm which we haven't got into yet today. He's just beaming me money right as we speak through this.
So I've got your address now.
Okay.
And I'm going to send you.
Just scanned my QR code.
So we're going to send you. Let's send you $5
Wow.
worth of Bitcoin.
Buy your
We'll
coffee.
do that.
Can I just say, in 2015, I had a mate come to me and say, "Hey man, get on this Bitcoin. It's like $2,000." And I was like, "Fuck that! I'm not buying the $2,000."
I've just received a notification.
And it just told me that it was $24,000 now. Is that correct?
USD, yeah. So I think it's about 35,000.
It's 12x.
So if I had bought that $2,000
Aussie.
coin, I would be a
Back up your wallet.
20. I would be
I
a
won't back it
$1,000.
up just yet.
So there you go.
So I think.
I've got you.
Okay, so I think you might have I just received.
That's you, bro.
I've got $5. Look at me, I'm trending. I've got $5. I'm on. We're on here. That just shows how the simplicity behind how easy that is to receive money from someone just like that way. And And I was touching on how in the chat you pitched and you said, hey, I can pay you $40 in cash and physical Australian dollars, or I can pay you $50 an hour in Bitcoin. Now I thought that's I feel like that's aligned with your purpose. It was to,
Do you want it back now?
at some point
back to you?
So did you receive it?
I've got it.
Okay, cool.
is maybe to shine light on Bitcoin and, and pull people more out of or diversify people's income stream so they're not so fucked. Essentially, if one was to fall, one was to collapse, then you've got a backup, right? So, and to offer more, it's like, through that you're going to receive Martin's knowledge on surrounding Bitcoin and how it works, and then you're also leveraging that by you've increased it by 20% or more. The wage that you're paying someone through Bitcoin, and I was like, that's what tempted me so much. I was like, God, I'd love that knowledge and that wisdom just to get started, because for some people doing this investment strategy can be so overwhelming.
Well, we're not taught about it in school, are
Correct.
we? We're not taught how to grow our own food. We're not taught about financial literacy, and those probably are one of the two most fundamental, important things as human being in today's society. Is,
fucking oath.
where does your food come from? That's going to have
and how you're going to put it on your fucking table.
Yeah, and that's going to have a massive impact on your health. So if you're growing your own quality food and you're actually financially free, then you don't have any dependence on the state, and then you can start to take your own lifestyle into your own hands, and you're not. So I mean, those are some of the things that I'm now really interested in, is growing my own food and being as self-sustainable as possible. So
On your beautiful farm, which is I absolutely love.
yeah, it's coming along. I've just
real
got the
nice.
materials to build the wicking beds now. So wicking beds is it's a water-saving way of garden beds. Basically, it's more water efficient. It uses a lot less water than watering from above. You fill up a reservoir, and then the soil and the plants draw the water from the reservoir from the bottom. So it's actually you need less time monitoring the garden beds as well. So that's something that I'm setting up at the moment. But with regards to, if I can just touch on
Please.
the transaction we just did there.
We've got the closing. We've got limited time, unfortunately, but we will continue. We'll have to have you on for another episode. So we're just pitching that out there.
Yeah, there'll be a part 2 for this.
Yeah, for sure. Continue,
on.
please, Martin.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, I'd love to come back and talk more on blockchain technology.
For my own selfish reasons.
So we were obviously in person. I scanned your QR code with the camera here, and my app recognised it, and then I sent it to you because I had the address.
So quickly.
Yeah, and so now it's basically in the network, and it's going to be confirmed into a block by the miners that do the securing network and process the transaction. So quickest it will be in about 10 minutes. You'll be able to now spend that transaction, or it might take maybe up to an hour, maybe depending on what I've set the transaction fee at. However, you'll be able to spend it very soon. Now, if we weren't in person, you could have actually just copied and pasted your address and just sent it to me as a text message or on an email. And then as long as I have that address, then I can just paste it into my app, and then I can send it like that. So Bitcoin is the first type of technology that we've ever had, as far as we know, that allows people to send and receive money. Like Bitcoin has a value, so it is effectively money, anywhere in the world with an internet connection.
Wow.
Without needing any identification. So it basically frees up. So the opportunity for people that are living in countries where inflation is crazy, the government is corrupt, and they don't. Like some countries actually have embargoes on them by Visa, MasterCard and PayPal, where they can't actually transact with anybody else in the world because there's such a high amount of fraud going on in the economy. However, there's obviously good people wanting to, be part of the global financial system, but they can't be because Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, they don't allow transactions to happen to those countries. So in that respect, Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is very freedom enabling for the future of humanity, and that's one of the key things that I really love about it.
How would I take that now and convert it into dollars?
Yeah, sure. Well, I would advise you don't do that.
I'm not very, but I just
I
to
would
know.
advise that you would just keep it
Yeah.
and put it on a Trezor, a hardware wallet, like I
Yeah.
said before, so that in case you lose your phone or your phone gets hacked or something, on a hardware wallet is always the safest place
So I
to
could start putting
keep
money
it.
every week into that thing we just created.
Yeah, well,
and put it
what
onto a Trezor.
what you've just touched on there is a investment strategy called dollar cost averaging, or DCA, and that's a very smart thing to do with Bitcoin. And I would advise that is the investment strategy that I would use if I was first getting into Bitcoin. This isn't financial advice in any way.
Don't listen to any of this, but
But yeah, to basically take $50 a week or $20 a week or whatever you feel comfortable with, and just constantly buying a little bit of Bitcoin, and then over a year or 2 years, you know, you might find that, you know, if I believe Bitcoin will go to $100,000 in the future, I believe Bitcoin will go to $1 million in the future as inflation continues to get higher and higher, and more people understand become educated. More people will use Bitcoin as an alternative investment strategy. So $5 today, you know, in 5 years, that could be, you know, a multiple of what it is. But like with any investing, only invest what you can afford to lose, and don't go out and start putting all of your life savings into something, because that's when because it does fluctuate in value. Over time, it's gone up a lot, but it does fluctuate in value. And I've seen a lot of people investing at the wrong times. When there's no talk about Bitcoin in the media, that's the time to start investing. As soon as you start hearing about it from everybody, it's usually at the peak of its cycle, and all the corporate media are pumping it, and all of the hedge funds and the existing financial system people are investing into it, and then they can sort of, you know, control the price a little bit as well.
That's great financial and investment advice as well. Don't invest what you can't afford to lose.
Yeah.
And and I think, like we said, we're going to have a part 2 on this.
For sure.
We realise that time is of the essence, my man, and you've got to get away to get back to your farm, and we'd love to speak more on that into the next phase of this chat. But for all of you that have gained value from this today, you know, Martin's very, very open and willing to chat about this. He's very passionate about it. And how can people get in touch with you?
do you want people to get in touch with you?
No, not really.
So we'll have a part 2. Tune in for that. There'll be part 2. We want to talk more about the farm, the sustainable living, your personal journey. I think it's a very cool journey. We barely got to touch the service, so this was just a bit of a scratch of the Bitcoin surface.
We'll call this Bitcoin 101.
Bitcoin 101 Part 1. Martin, Part 1.
Yeah.
And we won't let anyone know where to go to find you. Because
Well, if people really want to get in touch with me, they should come to the Brotherhood workouts.
Yep.
I train most mornings, and I just want to touch on Brotherhood, if I may, because you guys are an inspiration to me. And since moving, I left Melbourne during the fun of 2020s, the COVID social engineering experiment they were doing there. That wasn't my cup of tea, so I moved up to Queensland.
You and a lot of others, brother.
Spent 2 weeks in a government hotel facility. I felt very secure with the Army, the Navy, the Air Force. Everyone wearing masks. It was great fun, and they charged me $2,800 to have that experience. So thanks, Queensland government. And that's what prompted me to move here. And since moving here, it's been amazing. I'm really glad to be here and living on the Gold Coast. And one of the reasons I moved to Burleigh while the house was being renovated was because of the Brotherhood, and it's been amazing. So I just really want to thank you. From the bottom of my heart for creating this amazing community, because I've made some great friends and continue to invest in myself with all of the brothers, and it's I've never been happier and more confident and more fulfilled in my life, and so I'm really grateful for you guys and the work that you put in every day, so thanks so much.
Appreciate it. And I think we'd love to hear the iconic, Martin Martin's best catchphrase. Everyone would know. If as soon as you say "yeah," we think of you.
Well, do you want to know the story behind that very quickly?
Yes, go.
Yeah, so I dived into a lot of self-development last year, and I was attending a breathwork ceremony, and during the experience, I connected with my inner bear, and I found myself roaring, and it was a very emotional experience, but I still have that inner bear strength within me.
Yes.
Good on you.
And this is how I'm displaying it.
Good on you, man. I also want to touch on, I don't want to be dismissive of your gratitude and appreciation that I just felt through your words, because it fucking really hit home. And so I really want to thank you for that. Like, it was really beautiful, and thank you. I really acknowledge you. And
Thank you, brother.
Think so highly of you. And we're just another absolute stallion that rides among our pack here at Brotherhood. So if you want to get involved, get onto the Insta, connect with us on there and get down for a session. Do yourself a favour. If you want to meet Martin, you know where to find him. 5:15 or 6:30. Fucking let's go, baby.
5 a.m. every morning session. He said every 5 days. You said that in the group chat.
Yeah,
Every
I'm booked
weekday.
in. Yeah.
Every
He's
weekday,
booked in.
5 a.m. We'll see you there.
Yeah. From all of us here at Brotherly Love Podcast and Brotherhood Wholeness Centre, we thank you for joining in and tuning in. Catch us very soon in the next one. Big love. Have a beautiful day.
Mwah. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.